Is Namor undergoing a crisis of identity? Let's talk about it. Welcome back, everyone. I am Left Eye Ego, and I am broadcasting for the first time with this video from the new Ego headquarters. It's a fantastic setup. I cannot say thank you enough to Shiro and her homegirl, A-Rod, for setting me up really nicely with this awesome setup. So, without further ado, let's get into it. So today we're actually talking about the decision by Marvel to have Namor rule a land other than Atlantis. So let's go ahead and check out the article in question. And let me see if we do this here. There we go. All right. So Namor's MCU kingdom isn't Atlantis in Black Panther Wakanda Forever. So actor Tenek Huerta explains why Namor will rule Talocan instead of Atlantis in the upcoming Marvel sequel Black Panther Forever. Wakanda Forever, I'm sorry. So it says Black Panther Wakanda Forever star Tenek Huerta has explained how the Marvel Cinematic Universe version of Namor, the Submariner, was inspired by the culture and history of Mesoamerica. The actor, who was officially confirmed to be playing Namor at 2022's San Diego Comic Con after months of rumors, spoke with Empire about how the kingdom Namor rules over in the MCU will not be Atlantis. You can take Atlantis from Greek myth, or you can adapt from the real culture, Huerta said. Instead, the character will lead the nation of Talocan, described in several Mesoamerican manuscripts as a paradise. So I'm actually going to go back to that later on. Now, I know what you're thinking, Marvel fans. I mean, you guys will let a lot slide, and a lot of Marvel purists are saying what is actually going on, and the rest of us are just sitting around waiting for the inevitable comedy of errors to ensue. But what I want to do is I want to actually take a look at the place they're talking about that Namor is supposed to rule. But to do that, let's go to the actual character history of Namor. The history of Namor has a his debut of 1939. It was created by Bill Everett. He was the parent of a the mother was the one of the queen of the seas, and the father was a ferryman. And basically, it turns out that Namor's birth is he's supposed to be one of the only pink skinned, like I said, Atlanteans, where the rest of the Atlanteans are actually blue. And he was actually considered one of Marvel's first anti heroes. And when you check out all of the aliases that Namor has, the main one is King of Atlantis, King of Atlantis itself. Now, if we're looking at Atlantis, no, not that Atlantis, it was actually based in large part from Plato's stories in Timaeus and Critias in about 360 BC. Depending on, I guess, which book of those you're reading, Timaeus and Critias are also all usually put together. So essentially, it was talking about a technologically advanced society that wound up being plunged under the depths of the ocean. And since then, it's created a cult-like following on, proposed locations, conspiracy theories. It's even spawned some both live action and animated adaptation. You know, actually with the animated one with Michael J. Fox's Atlantis. So we're actually going to contrast that, this technological city that was supposed to be submerged underwater, and it's a race to find out who will discover it first with Talocan. Talocan is actually Aztec, and it's translated as the place of Tlaloc. Tlaloc is a god of rain, lightning, and earthquakes, and he rules with his wife or sister, depending on which text you read. And I apologize, I'm about to butcher her name. It's Chalchuith Likyu. I think it translates to jade skirt. She is the deity of fertility, storms, and baptism. Now, Talocan is actually supposed to be described as a paradise, but it's a little bit more than that. It's actually it's the first level of the 13 proposed levels of heaven in Aztec culture, or it could be described as the ninth level of the underworld, depending on which text you're using. Now, Talocan is reserved for those who have died from drowning, lightning strikes, or water associated diseases. This place is also is known supposed to be known for edible plants such as maize, chili pepper plants, and squash. And actually, you know what? I want to stop this to call out Marvel. You are not slick trying to release this in Hispanic Heritage Month. Ooh, I see you. You're not slick. I caught you. Got you.
Boy, we're busted.
Now that we know both what Atlantis is based on the history and with the history of Tlaloc, let's go back and check out Huerta's comments and we're going to continue. Yep. All right. Huerta also explained how Namor and Talocan's inclusion in Wakanda Forever stems from T'Challa revealing to the world Wakanda's true nature, which Namor believes has put Talocan in jeopardy, and Talocan has to take action to protect themselves.
How, Sway?
What?
Why? This doesn't make any sense. I have so many problems with this statement because, number one, if it's supposed to be a hidden paradise, how does it make sense to expose yourself potentially to the world because Wakanda, through T'Challa, told the entire world that they exist? Nobody's checking for Talo. No one's checking for Talocan if we just found out about Wakanda. It doesn't make any sense at all to potentially expose yourself based on what another nation did. That doesn't make sense to me. Especially given the fact that you don't have any known quarrels with Wakanda. I'm not even sure if Wakanda knows that you exist. So why attack someone with whom you have no quarrel? Yeah, I also mentioned in a previous video, I was joking when I said this, that it was looking like it was going to be the Mexicans versus the blacks. And I was joking because, hey, they're Atlanteans, so I can't really say that. It's more of a joke. But they did exactly what I was joking about by making it on the nose. It is literally the Latin Americans versus the blacks. It's like MS-13 versus the Crips. It makes it sound like it's an interracial gang war. And I guess the problem I'm also having is that every time they introduce minorities, they're always fighting each other. You know, even in Black Panther, it was always colonizer. You are a colonizer. You know I'm not welcome here. But the minute they introduce a Wakandan that happens to be their blood, they immediately fight. So now we've got two, I guess you call them international players on the stage that are non-white, and they immediately have a quarrel with each other when one is on land and was known supposed to be technologically savvy, and we've got a paradise that only knows prosperity. Doesn't make sense at all to me. That would actually bother me. If Tlaloc gives refuge to people that have been drowned or hit by lightning or suffer from any waterborne disease, does that mean if Namor drowns a Wakandan, that the Wakandans come back to life as members of the Talocan clan in Tlaloc? Does that mean if a Wakandan drowns these Talokans, do they respawn if you drown them? Do they not die? How is this supposed to work? And that ultimately leads to one of the biggest issues I have is that the story and the history of Tlaloc and the Legend of Tlaloc is actually a pretty neat story. If you were to show me a movie about does not matter race, gender, or ethnicity of someone that actually is struck by lightning, that drowns, and they've been elevated to this paradise, what does that look like? What do we see through that character that is now experiencing what life is like in Talocan? We could have had an avatar of Tlaloc himself didn't have to even be Namor. Hell, it could have looked like the actor in question, Huerta. He could have said, "I am the avatar of Tlaloc. I welcome all souls into Talocan. Welcome." And then you could say that they're under threat from someone that wants to, I guess, steal the immortality of Tlaloc himself, or steal some kind of artifact associated with Talocan. I actually would have liked to have seen that. It's based in Mesoamerican legend. It would have, all the visuals that Marvel and Disney are really known for. They really bank off of getting that visual aspect of things and tying it in with an emotional soundtrack. It really would have been something that I would have liked to have seen. Instead, they're peeling off the skin of Namor and throwing it on this corpse of Namor in the MCU, and saying, because I can use this decrepit looking skin walker and just say that, hey, it's Namor in name, and just have him walking around, that we're not going to say, hey, some looks a little bit off about that. And it kind of gets me to a sad issue that I've been seeing with Marvel maybe over the last 7 or 8 years, and that maybe includes Disney itself, is that when you try to be so inclusive that it'll get in the way of telling an actual really great story with really compelling characters and compelling interests, and how they can come into conflict with one another. But that's all I got for today, guys. Let me know your thoughts, comments, if you think that Marvel or the MCU is headed in the right direction with this racial and identification swap, or if you're like, well, hey, you know what? I see where you're going with that too, and this is going to be a problem if they keep this up. Anyway, guys, this is Left Eye Ego